It's the regular season finale. Can Boston College get their first ranked win since 2014? We're going to talk about this and more on today's Locked On Boston College.
You are Locked On Boston College, your daily podcast on the Boston College Eagles, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
This is Locked On Boston College. I am your host, AJ Black. I hope you all had a wonderful Thanksgiving. Happy Friday. This is our final football show before of the regular season. Of course, there'll be bowl games coming up. And with me, I have Eric Hoffses, who we're going to have a lot of talk to talk about today. We're going to talk about the Wake Forest game. He's got some thoughts on Frank Cignetti you're not going to want to miss. And we'll also get into some of the games of the week from around college football. Eric, I know you're fired up. How you doing?
Well, I guess as good as I can be after attending the game last weekend and seeing my BC over 7 wins ticket blown up.
Yeah, that was a tough one. And I'm sure you'll have thoughts about that. But we have Wake Forest. And before we get into that, I wanted to give some breaking news. As we're recording this on Wednesday, Boston College football has announced that 12 to 15 players on the football team have the flu. And Hafley is hopeful that they're going to be back for Saturday's game, but it hit all positional groups. They're out of practice right now. So that is something to definitely keep an eye on, because if those are starters, BC could be in some serious trouble. All right, Eric, Wake Forest. What are your thoughts on this team so far?
Wake Forest has been impressive to me. Obviously, especially their offense. I mean, really, they've just been destroying teams all year, even some good defenses along the way. And this is, I don't know. I know they had some good teams and actually won an ACC title along the way. But this, offensively, at least, this might be the best Wake Forest team I've seen. I mean, it's opponents have had a tough time slowing them down this year, and I'm not very confident that BC is going to be able to.
Yeah, they've averaged 41 points during the season, and they put up 70 against Army. They've put up over 30 almost in every game that they've played. And this is the type of offense that gives BC fits. And in the first year under Hafley, they did not get to play Sam Hartman in this offense, but they're 4th in the country in offense. This team can move the ball with that. They call it the mesh RPO, which is that slow handoff, which sucks defenses in and gives Sam Hartman, a little extra time to make a decision. When you look at BC's issues going into this game, what concerns you most, Eric?
It has to be the defense. I think that the last 2 weeks as well, while on the scoreboard, the D's looked all right. Both Georgia Tech and Florida State left multiple scores on the board the last 2 weeks. On Georgia Tech, it was more red zone conversion. Florida State, it was just a lot of dumb penalties and self-inflicted wounds. So the defense concerns me. Hopefully they'll be getting some guys back from injury this week. I saw Sebastian back last weekend. He wasn't at his usual snap count. I saw them kind of playing him more situationally throughout the game. So it'll be interesting to see if he's, back to his normal workload or not, or if they're still just kind of taking it cautious with him here to end the season. I don't know if Barry will be back or not. Hafley seemed like he was kind of wishy-washy on that. Unless you read between the lines something different with what he said.
I cannot. I can't figure out his injury reports to save my life.
Yeah,
he's got a great poker face with that.
Yeah, he does. I never know what if a guy's in or out. Where with Daz and Spaz, like it was pretty easy to know when guys were playing or not. But yeah, it's definitely hard with Hafley. Yeah, I have serious concerns about the BC defense. And then, the offense has obviously looked a lot better with Jurkovec back, but I don't know. I don't know if the offense is operating at a high enough level right now to keep up with Wake Forest in this game. So I have multiple concerns in this game.
Yeah, I agree with you. You look at the Wake Forest defense, and as good as their offense is, their defense has been their Achilles heel. They can't stop anybody. But I agree with you. Like I look at Wake Forest's offense as easily the best offense Boston College has played all year. Louisville, though, the way that Malik Cunningham has played lately, he's starting to show that maybe they're up there too. But I personally, I think Sam Hartman is a great quarterback, and he's got two excellent wide receivers. Now, BC has flaunted, it was like 2 weeks ago that Jason Baum and the athletic department had all those graphics up about their pass defense and how great their pass defense is. This is the week that they got to show up or shut up, because I think it was you that said it last week. Like, you saw that and you're like, okay, but they haven't really played a really good passing offense. And we saw a little bit against Florida State, and that pass defense really struggled. So I think this is going to be a real test of what the ceiling is for this pass defense. And as you said, if DeBerry comes back, that really changes a lot, because if he's back to, playing at close to 100%, he really does change that defense. But if he's out, could get ugly on Saturday.
Yeah, if DeBerry's back, it would help. And then also, the flu, I don't know how many by Saturday, we don't know how many of the defense will be affected by that. And as we know, they are super thin right now in certain positional groups on defense. So it's gonna be an issue for sure.
Yeah, and when you look at the offense, the other piece that you mentioned, and we'll talk a little bit more about it when we talk about Cignetti, the play of Phil Dracovic, like, he clearly against Florida State, they got guys in his face and he struggled. Georgia Tech was not able to do that. I don't think Wake is going to have the same issues that Georgia Tech did, because Georgia Tech's defense was just pitiful, but I don't think they're going to be as relentless as Florida State was. Now, if Cignetti goes out there and runs the ball, if that's his goal to run the ball, we'll talk about this in a second, BC is going to be in a lot of trouble.
You think Wake Forest can shut down their run?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep, I do. And, there's a lot of you're looking at different factors that could play a role. You would hope that you play a Southern team late in November. That would kind of minimize give BC a little bit of an edge, because sometimes Southern teams wilt when it gets really cold. That being said, it also hurts BC because, the thing is, that we've heard is when it gets cold, that could impact the wrist of Phil Dracovic. So that could also impact Boston College. BC has the home field advantage, but it's Thanksgiving weekend. And, every student is like, yeah, I'm not coming back for that game. I'm going to stay home with my family. So it's going to be a dead stadium, I think. It just doesn't seem like there's a lot of juice going into this game.
No, especially after last weekend. Like, at this point, there was the rumors floating around like, oh, maybe 8-4, that maybe they sneak into the Holiday Bowl if things break right. And that was like a pretty cool carrot hanging out there. And now, after the loss to FSU, what's really the difference between a 6 or 7 win regular season? And meanwhile, this game means all the world to Wake Forest. So yeah, motivation definitely in Wake Forest's favor for this game.
All right. So Eric, let's go over your predictions. How much do you have based off what you're saying? How much do you have BC losing by? It's a 5-point spread or it's actually down to 4.5. I saw, which seems really low.
I do not get that at all. Because all the reasons we've already mentioned, the defensive concerns, some offensive concerns, the motivation factor, the dead stadium. I've actually probably stupidly picked BC to win every week this year on this podcast. This is the week I'm going against them now. I've got Wake 41, BC 27.
Okay, I had about a 14-point loss here. I'm going to go with Wake 45, BC 30. I think BC will score some points, but I cannot envision them slowing down that offense. And as you said, it's a great point. Wake is playing for that ACC championship. They are going to be juiced up. And if BC is gassed from the flu and not playing at their best, it's going to be a tough game. Now, Eric and I are going to talk in just a moment. A conversation Eric and I have had all week, and I want to pick his brain on this, and that is the play or the coaching of offensive coordinator Frank Cignetti. Eric's got some thoughts, and I want to hear what he has to say. This is it. The putt to win the tournament. If you sink it, the championship is yours. But on your backswing, your hat falls over your eyes. Is this how you're running your business? Poor visibility because you're relying on spreadsheets and outdated financial software? To see the full picture, you need to upgrade to NetSuite by Oracle. NetSuite is the #1 cloud financial software to power your growth. With visibility and control of your financials, inventory, HR, planning, budgeting, and more, NetSuite is everything you need to grow all in one place. With NetSuite, you can automate your processes and close your books in no time while staying well ahead of your competition. 93% of surveyed businesses increase their visibility and control after upgrading to NetSuite. Over 27,000 businesses already use NetSuite right now. And right now through the end of the year, NetSuite is offering a one-of-a-kind financing program to those ready to upgrade at netsuite.com/lockedonncaa. Again, head over to netsuite.com/lockedonncaa for special end-of-year financing on the #1 financial system for growing business. netsuite.com/lockedonncaa. This is Locked On Boston College. AJ Black. We just got through the predictions, in which I think it's probably the first game Eric and I both universally agree that BC is going to lose this weekend. But we're going to start talking about one of the things that got fans really fired up this week, and that was the play calling of Frank Cignetti. Now, I didn't get to go to the game live last week, and I had another commitment, so I had to watch it at home. Eric was there live, and I know he's all fired up about Cignetti. So let's talk about your thoughts about his coaching style. Go ahead, Eric.
Well, in this one of the things that struck me, and I said it at the game, was the lack of getting Zay Flowers the ball in the first half. That the offense was a little bit stagnant. And I just thought it was the time to set up some kind of play that's just for him. I will give FSU some credit. They were physical with Zay in that game. Their cornerbacks were getting hands on Zay every time Jurkovec dropped back for a pass. I mean, the refs, and I'm not even one of these like fanboys, like, oh, the refs aren't calling enough penalties. Like, that refs threw a ton of flags in that game. They could have called a holding on the Florida defensive backs on Zay every time. And to his credit, Zay was actually getting open a little bit, especially in the second half. I noticed he was free, and Jurkovec was not finding him. But listen, when the quarterback is not finding guys downfield, sometimes it's your responsibility as the OC to get some plays designed for Zay to get the ball. We've seen them do some gadget stuff for him before, and I thought it was kind of lacking in the first half of this game. Really, though, I think my issue was like a lot of other people, and that's how he handled the last drive, particularly at the end. The two runs that set up BC for a 3rd and 9, and that's ultimately when the drive stalled out. I know if you asked Cignetti, he'd say, Garwa just popped off carries of 9 and 6 yards before that. He had those were the only 2 good runs on the whole drive, though. Garwa was actually had 7 carries for 23 yards on that drive before they ran on those last 2 plays, and it got set up for 3rd and 9. So they weren't particularly having success overall running the ball on that drive. So I had a big problem with that. And another thing I did have issue with was, and I wish I grabbed the snap counts for this, but the offense was popping off a little when Travis Levy got in there and kind of sped up the tempo a little bit in the second half. And I think there was a bigger role for him to be played. I know Garwa is more of the featured back, the guy they use more, but sometimes you got to go with like the hot hand. And I thought Levy was that guy late in the game, and they just didn't look to him in that last drive at all.
I get where you're coming from, and I'm not going to argue with you on that, because I think you're right on a lot of that. The runs for me, I don't have the stats in front of me, but it seems like just from an eyeball test, when Boston College runs the ball, they always run it right after, and it could be a first down, right? Run it for Garwo for 15 yards. And then it seems like majority of the time that they run it again, the second play, and it goes backwards. And it's like, oh, you gotta figure out a way to get out of that. Now, the bigger issue for me watching that offense, and the one that I was like, man, what is up with this, is how out physical, or I don't even, the superior physicality of the Florida State defensive line that just beat the snot out of BC's offensive line, at least for that first half of the game.
Yeah, that was pathetic. And I think Cignetti is taking a lot of heat, and people are actually forgetting about that first half performance by the O-line. Hell, I didn't even mention it when I was talking about the game. But yeah, that was pathetic. Florida State completely controlled the trenches in that one, especially early. It was kind of puzzling, like being at the game. I don't know if there's other people listening that were there too, but like there was just no energy from the BC sideline from the start of that game. And I don't know. I know Florida State wasn't ranked or anything coming in, but still, that's a big name team coming to your home stadium. And there was just no buzz about it. And it's pretty, I must say, it was pretty interesting conversation. I felt like after the Florida State game, it was the first time you saw some BC fans kind of question Hafley. I think they've kind of trusted him along the way, but this was kind of the first game where they were like, "Come on, dude, you got out coached in this one with some of your decision making." The oddest one to me was, and I had people defend Hafley for this on my Twitter feed. It was late in the game on that 4th and 2 in their own territory. He actually sent the punt team out there, and the crowd booed him. He calls a timeout, and after the timeout, he goes for it. Yeah. I know he gave the explanation post game. He kind of had changed his mind, but I was disappointed with Hafley in that one. That might be the first time I've said that. Like, I think you got to know going into the drive, be very clear when you're going to go for it, when you're not, what situation. And it seemed like there was a little bit of confusion. I don't know about confusion, but just lack of making a decision. And I had a problem with that. And honestly, I heard a lot of people defend him and say, "Hey, that was the right move. He called a timeout and went for it." Well, yeah, but the right move would have been going for it right away and saving that timeout, which they ended up needing. Yep. And didn't have when Florida State got the ball back. They then had no shot to win the game. So I do question him for that. And I just want to say it's a little weird too. Like I feel like there's some people out there that like are afraid to question Hafley, and it's odd to me. Like I think Hafley is a good coach, maybe even a really good coach. And he's kind of learning on the job here at BC. He's never been a head coach before. So
I totally agree.
I feel like I can say he's a really good coach, but then also question when I think he does something weird. Someone even said to me, "You guys would be killing Adazio if he had done that." And they're absolutely right. We would have roasted Daz if he called a timeout and then changed his mind like that and burned a timeout. We would have murdered him for that. So to be fair, we got to question Hafley when he does something like that. I think
that's all fair points. And I think what we need to always remember too, when you're thinking of Hafley, is what's he coached 20 games professionally? I mean, at the collegiate level now, he's young. Mm-hmm. And like, we forget that, like that he's learning how to do this. He's going to screw up and that you can call him on it because he's a head coach and that's what you're supposed to do. But he's on like game 20 of being a head coach. So like when he says after the game, like, "Oh, I had 25 seconds. I had to make a call. I needed more time to think about it." And that's great. But as you said, like the right play would have been to pause and, like to just go and do it. So you don't have to waste the time out. The thing about Hafley too is you can look at the positives and negatives. And so like when I see him being compared to Daz, that's the stuff that I'm like, oh, shut up. Like you can,
that's stupid. That's stupid
because Boston College would have lost that game 40-10 if that was Daz. You know what I mean? Like they would have now, and like he has his positives, but I think it's also fair to point out where he's screwing up. And to his credit, he usually does take it. And I'm curious. I asked him last year about this because I'd go to every press conference virtually and he'd say, I got to coach better. I got to coach better. And like, I heard him say it like a dozen times. And then finally I was like, Jeff, what do you mean by that? Like, I want to know, what do you mean? Like from last game, what do you want to coach better? Because it just, to me, sometimes it seems empty, but he legitimately has things. Like if you ask him, he'll tell you X, Y, and Z he wants to fix. But I think it's fair to question him at this point, but like, I think it just changes our mind frame of where he's at as a head coach,
Wait, you didn't say what you thought of Cignetti's play calling.
Oh, well, yeah, I thought you were going to go in on the running thing, like him running the ball too much. So I
thought he did on the last drive. He kind of leaned on it a bit too much, but overall in the game, I don't know. It's not like the passing game is lighting it up right now. So
yeah, I mean, I didn't like the last drive. I had to be honest with that. Like I would have gone with your defense has been stopping Florida State's offense that second half. Like if you're going to score too fast, let your defense stop Jordan Travis one more time. I think they could have done it. And so I would have gone more with, letting Dracovic fly a little bit more there. But I don't know. With my biggest issue on this whole game, as I already said, was the play of the offensive line. I thought that was the story of the game, but I obviously think that Cignetti he's got room to improve too. So I think that's on and everything. So Eric, in a moment, we're going to talk a little bit about some of the games around the week. It's rivalry week around the country. You wouldn't know that at Boston College because we get Wake Forest. But before we do that, BetOnline. It's Thanksgiving and we all know what that means. It's football time and nothing goes better with football than turkey and betting. BetOnline has got you covered all holiday season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before. BetOnline remains your number one spot for all the sports action this Thanksgiving. Head to our new updated desktop or mobile website to sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus with promo code LOCKEDON to receive your bonus. And it's not just football. BetOnline has pro and college hoops, NHL, boxing, UFC, even your favorite Vegas casino games. Don't wait to take advantage of all the amazing offers available for the 21 season. Eric and I talked about the odds on Wake Forest and Boston College. You can head over to BetOnline. If you agree with us, you can bet on Wake Forest. If you think we're full of it, go put your money on Boston College. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet all your favorite sports. BetOnline, we're stuffed with deals this Thanksgiving. It's the most wonderful time of the year. It's Black Friday. Built is going all out to make this Black Friday weekend the most delicious Black Friday that ever has been in the history of Black Fridays. With new limited time flavors, new types of bars, and a winter wonderland of deals. You want high-end deliciousness at a discount? All through Black Friday weekend, get at least 20% off everything and everything at Built.com when you use promo code LOCK20. Listen to the new flavors that they have right now at Built, including Ruby Chocolate Puffs and marshmallowy goodness covered in a unique chocolate, Ruby Chocolate. This has never been done before by Built Bar. There's dark chocolate, there's white chocolate, and now Ruby Chocolate joins the Built Bar Club. It's unique and delicious. They also have the Lemon Dip Cheesecake Puffs. Love lemon cheesecake? You'll love Lemon Dip Cheesecake Puffs. Their tangy taste of lemon, sweet cheesecake, and a marshmallowy puff, and all covered in chocolate. And then they also have the Built Bar Crave Bar. A Built Bar Friday weekend isn't complete without the word free. Buy any box of Built Bars through Sunday and get 2 of their brand new candy bars, Built Crave, for free. Built has finally done it. They've come up with a candy bar that is a great alternative to the bar they claims to satisfy. It's caramel covered chocolate loaded with peanuts, giving it that nutty chocolatey, so good sweet candy bar flavor. And it only has 168 calories with 17 grams of protein. Show me a candy bar that even comes close. No need to fight angry crowds. No camping out for hours. Your best Black Friday deals are at Built.com. Remember, 20% off at Built bars and 2 free Crave bars, all at Built.com when you use promo code LOCKED20. This is AJ Black. This is Locked On Boston College. I am the host, and I am also the editor and publisher of BCBulletin.com. You can check out all my work and previews of the game up at BC Bulletin. I'm here with Eric Hoffses. We've talked about Frank Cignetti. We've talked about Wake Forest. Now let's look around the country and look at some of the big games this weekend. And Eric, looking at the ACC, the biggest game of the week has to be obviously Boston College and sorry, there's an ad that just went on there. It has to also be UNC and NC State. What are your thoughts on this game?
I Well, it is a big rivalry for the two schools down there, more so in basketball, of course. I'm going to take the NC State defense in this one. North Carolina, pretty disappointing team for all the preseason hype, thinking they might be a top 10 team. There's a very real chance they'll finish 6-6.
And then we head down to the Sunshine State, where two rivals are playing with bowl eligibility on the line. It's the Seminoles that we just saw against the Florida Gators, who just fired their head coach. It's a Florida's a favorite in this game, which I don't understand. I would take Florida State in this one easy.
Yeah, I'd take Florida State outright with the victory. They seem motivated. They looked motivated against BC. Florida hasn't been trying in a couple weeks. I don't know if firing Dan Mullen changes that, but I'm not risking that it will. I'll take Florida State and I'll even put some real money on that.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's some other games. We're not going to go over Miami against Duke. That game just seems like it's dead in the water. Virginia Tech and Virginia, 7-point Virginia favorite in this game. I like the Cavaliers now that Brandon Armstrong's back, and Virginia Tech they got to win for bowl eligibility, but I think the Cavs are a good bet here.
I'm going to go against you because in this spot, I always go with the team that needs the win to get bowl eligible. So I'll go against you and take the Hokies.
All right. Well, if you're going to go against teams that need to be bowl eligible, how about Pitt and Syracuse? Pitt is a 13-point favorite. Syracuse needs to win to make a bowl.
Oh, you're going to make me do it, but I'll. Man, Syracuse burned me last week. I thought they really needed that game because they had Pitt on deck, and now look what they've done. They need this win. I'm going to take Cuse with the points to keep it close.
All right, I'm going to go with Pitt, and they're going to cover on that one. I think Pitt's got too much to do, and I think Syracuse is. They started their season off with a pretty easy slate of schedule and teams, and now that they've hit their the tougher part of their schedule, they're falling apart. And I think this will be the end. And I think it'll probably be the end of Dino Babers by the end of this weekend. All right. Clemson and South Carolina. South Carolina is a sneaky fun team this year. They are an 11.5-point underdog, but Clemson is playing out of them. They're starting to really become Clemson. So I'm going to take, they're playing for, bowl slots and everything like that. I'm going to go with the Tigers here.
Yes, they've been playing a lot better here the second half of the season. So I also am on Clemson.
It's so sad that if Boston College wins and Clemson sneaks in, all of this, who's going to win the Atlantic, and then it goes right back to Clemson again.
Right.
I don't think it'll happen, but we'll see on Saturday. Another interesting game on Saturday is Kentucky, who's 8-3, and they may not be with Mark Stoops for very much longer, as LSU is reportedly very interested in him, against Louisville, who has been playing out of their minds the last couple of weeks. Louisville's a 3-point favorite. I'm going to go with the Cardinals, who are only 6-5, but I think they're going to win this one pretty easily.
Yeah, they're only 6-5, but like you said, they have been red hot. So let's keep it rolling with them. I would not go against them right now.
Malik Cunningham has to be in the talk for Heisman next year. Like the way he's playing right now, he is. If he comes back, which I know is a big question mark, and just like with Djokovic, if he sees the draft lottery as I can get into the early rounds, maybe he'll go. But man, if he stays around, he's going to be a major issue next year.
Yeah, I agree with you. The coaching staff there, give him credit because they figured him out. We bashed him a little earlier in the year, rightfully so, but he's a different player now.
All right, let's look into some of the rivalry games this weekend. Alabama against Auburn. Brian Harrison has been rumored to be possibly going to Washington, which I guess is an issue because of his vaccination state.
Huh.
But this is always a tricky game to pick. Alabama is obviously a much better team. Bo Nix is out. I think Alabama's a 19.5-point favorite. I don't know. When it's the Iron Bowl and it's a gross big spread like that, I have a hard time touching that one.
Ugh, I know. And I don't know. Whenever I have a toss up like this in a rivalry game, I'm going to take the points. So that's what I'm going to do here.
All right. Penn State and Michigan State. James Franklin is signed until 2080 now, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Going 7-4. That's an impressive contract to give a guy that really hasn't done, he's won a few BCS games and, New Year's 6 games, but this game seems like it's got Michigan State written all over it. Penn State's a 1-point favorite.
I'm I'm actually going to go Penn State in this one. Michigan State, I don't know if their motivation is still up after getting their doors blown in last weekend.
And finally, the last game of the rivalry week that I want to talk about is Bedlam. Number 10, Oklahoma against number 7, Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State's a 4-point favorite. Oklahoma State's defense has been playing very, very well. But Caleb Williams of Oklahoma has been improving, and that offense is improving as well. Where do you have your money on this one, Eric?
Well, I'm going to go with Okie State. I don't know how healthy Caleb Williams is right now after he got knocked out of the game a couple weeks ago. So I'm going to take Okie State. I think they might be more motivated than Oklahoma in this one.
And then finally, let's look at I get yelled at for bringing him up all the time, but I just have fun with it. Some people love it. So it's a 9:00 start.
There's that one guy that was going at you hard last week. I don't remember his name anymore, so sorry, buddy. But yeah, there was a guy going at you hard about bringing up Spaz, and he pretty much was accusing you of deflecting on Halfley and going to Spaz.
Whatever. He can do that all he wants. The 3-8 Colorado State versus 7-4 Nevada. Nevada with Carson Strong. They're a 4-point favorite. Will you take Adazio in the season finale?
Hell no. Nevada is actually a really good team. And they're one of the better teams in the Mountain West. And Adazio just went down to Hawaii. It was funny. He got called out by reporters this week. It wasn't worth posting about really, but since it's easier to talk about, but Hawaii went up kind of big in that game. And then Adazio started airing the ball out, and Colorado State kind of got back in the game and only lost by a couple points. But it was one of those situations where Hawaii was kind of letting them throw it around and just trying to run the clock out. So Daz opened up his press conference talking about how the passing game was record setting and just puffing his chest out about the passing game. And then his air was taken out of his sails a little while later. Reporter asked him, do you think some of that could be contributed to your team being down multiple touchdowns and Hawaii basically letting you throw? And he didn't appreciate that question, of course, but
I was kind of disappointed, Eric, that you didn't have anything up by him after the game. I went to your Twitter. I know it's like a 11:00 start because it was in Hawaii. I went to your Twitter to go find it, and I was like, "Oh, there's nothing up. He must have not said anything." So
no, I couldn't find any post game from that, so I had to settle for like the Monday press conference when he has settled down a little bit more. But he definitely did get a little bit annoyed by that question, and it was classic Daz bragging about the passing game. And all indications, I didn't watch the game because it was so late, but all indications from my Twitter feed was that the reason Colorado State fell behind so bad was because Hawaii was selling out to stop the run. And of course, in Daz fashion, he just kept pounding the ball into the line until they were down by 20 something points. And then of course he aired it out, but it was too late by then. But yeah, it never ends. Hopefully Colorado State brings him back next year so we can have some more fun.
All right. So Eric, where can people find you on social media?
Check out all my really awesome college football and basketball hot takes at EJ Hoffses. My last name Hoffses, Hoffses, and follow my barbecue company at Hoffa BBQ across Instagram and Facebook.
And we'll talk to Eric soon. Me and him will have to discuss what we're going to do for bowl season, but we'll have him back on again soon to talk about BC's bowl destination and previewing their bowl game when we get down to it. Eric, thank you very much for being on. This is AJ Black. Thank you all for following along. You can hit me up on Twitter at AJ Black_BC. You can also find the podcast on Locked On BC. Please make sure you subscribe to our podcast and give us a daily listen. If you want to get your Boston College news, this is the perfect place to do it. Thank you all and have a great weekend. Take care.